the eastern woodlands of North America bore witness to the ancient presence of the Lenape and Nanticoke peoples, who have a rich and storied history that stretches back thousands of years. These indigenous groups thrived for centuries before the arrival of Europeans, developing complex societies with their own unique customs, traditions, and ways of life. The Lenape, often referred to as the Delaware Indians or Moors, inhabited the Delaware Valley and surrounding areas, a region abundant with natural resources that supported their communities. Their kinship ties connected them to other Algonquian-speaking peoples, creating a network of relationships that extended across vast distances. The Nanticoke, residing along the Chesapeake Bay, developed a rich maritime culture, relying heavily on the bay's resources for sustenance and trade. These two groups shared a common ancestry and cultural affinities, which were reflected in their languages, spiritual beliefs, and social structures. The Lenape held a position of respect among Algonquian-speaking peoples, often serving as mediators and leaders within the broader Algonquian community. Their territory encompassed present-day New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and Delaware, areas that were rich in biodiversity and provided ample resources for their way of life. The Nanticoke, skilled hunters, fishers, and farmers, adapted to their coastal environment, utilizing the land and sea to sustain their communities and trade with neighboring groups. Both the Lenape and the Nanticoke possessed rich oral traditions, preserving their history and beliefs through stories, songs, and ceremonies passed down through generations. However, the arrival of Europeans in the 17th century would forever alter their history, bringing profound changes and challenges to their way of life. Despite the hardships, the resilience and spirit of the Lenape and Nanticoke endure, as they continue to honor their heritage and maintain their cultural practices in the face of adversity. The term Delaware Indians belies the complex tapestry of cultures and identities that have evolved over centuries. This name, given by European settlers, masks the rich and intricate history of the people who call themselves the Lenape. Intertribal relationships, forged through trade, diplomacy, and intermarriage, shaped their collective history. These interactions were not merely transactional, but were deeply rooted in mutual respect and shared survival strategies. The Lenape, at the crossroads of ancient trading networks, interacted extensively with neighboring groups. These networks were the lifeblood of their economy, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultural practices. The Nanticoke engaged in trade and diplomacy with both Algonquian and Iroquoian-speaking peoples. These relationships were crucial for maintaining peace and fostering alliances that could be called upon in times of need. Intermarriage strengthened ties between the Lenape, Nanticoke, and other groups. These unions were more than personal. They were strategic, binding communities together and ensuring the continuity of cultural traditions. The influx of refugees from other tribes added complexity to the demographic landscape. These newcomers brought with them their own customs and traditions, further enriching the cultural mosaic. This intermingling of cultures resulted in a vibrant and dynamic society. The blending of different traditions and practices created a unique cultural identity that was both resilient and adaptable. The arrival of Europeans disrupted these delicate social and cultural fabrics. Their presence introduced new challenges, including diseases, land disputes, and a different worldview that clashed with indigenous ways of life. Missionaries sought to suppress traditional beliefs and practices, further eroding cultural integrity. Their efforts to convert the indigenous population often led to the loss of languages, rituals, and a sense of community that had been built over generations. The arrival of Europeans in the 17th century marked a significant turning point for the Delaware Indians, forever altering their way of life and their connection to their ancestral lands. Colonial powers imposed their own systems of classification, completely disregarding the rich and diverse histories and identities of the indigenous peoples. This erasure of identity was a deliberate act to undermine their cultural heritage. Numerous treaties, often signed under duress or through deceit, resulted in the loss of vast tracts of land. These agreements led to the displacement of entire indigenous communities, severing their ties to the land that had sustained them for generations. The term Delaware, imposed by European colonists, served to obscure the distinct histories and cultural nuances of the various tribes. This homogenization was a tool to simplify control and administration, but it stripped away the unique identities of the people. Through a series of treaties, the Delaware Indians were forced onto ever-shrinking reservations. These lands were often far from their original territories, making it difficult to maintain their traditional ways of life. The imposition of European legal and social structures further undermined their self-governance and cultural autonomy. Indigenous laws and customs were replaced with foreign systems that did not respect their values or ways of life. Traditional justice systems, which had been in place for centuries, were supplanted by European courts. This not only disrupted their legal traditions but also imposed foreign concepts of justice and punishment. The forced removal of children from their families aimed to assimilate them into European culture. This was done through boarding schools where they were forbidden to speak their native languages or practice their traditions. Despite these immense hardships, the Delaware Indians clung to their traditions, showcasing their resilience and determination to preserve their cultural heritage. Their stories and practices were passed down through generations, ensuring their survival. Their struggle to reclaim their narrative and rights continues to this day. This ongoing fight is a testament to the enduring legacy of colonization and the unyielding spirit of indigenous peoples in their quest for justice and recognition. Trust us when we say, this journey through America's hidden black past is just beginning. If this glimpse into a world lost to time has captured your imagination, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. Lastly, for more information about the names and subjects mentioned in this video, get your copy of the Amazon best-selling book series, 19 White Men Who Admitted There Were Indigenous Black People in the Americas, and 13 Black Scholars Who Admitted There Were Black People in the Americas Before Columbus by Chase McGee. Link in the description. Stay curious and keep exploring.